Okay. So as James said, I'm the director of product at Lookbook HQ. So I'll go over a little bit about my background a bit more. So I did engineering at Waterloo, where I did mechatronics engineering, and I'm not building robots right now. But and after that, I did my MBA at Queen's University. And I have worked at Apple in California on the iPhone engineering quality team, which is a really intense time. I saw Steve Jobs. He was my hero at that time. I've also worked at Bell, and then my most recent experience before Lookbook HQ was at Loblaw Digital. Any of you guys know about Loblaw Digital? So it was a really interesting time when I joined. I was one of the first PMs on their grocery business, saw that grow from about 80 million to over 200 million, and that was just phenomenal growth. Seeing that type of growth was really interesting, and vision had a big part to play in it because there was a hell of a lot of things that went wrong. Because of a clear vision, we made it out and we actually did grow. I also had a startup called PlateApp, which I'll talk about, and I taught product management at BrainStation for about a year. But I want to know a little bit more about you. So I'm guessing most people here are from the development side? Okay. Who here is a team lead? Manager? Okay. All right. So good. All right. Before I start talking about vision, I think it's really critical to define what vision is. And this is the dictionary definition of it. The act or power of imagination, right? A mode of seeing or conceiving unusual foresight. And the unusual foresight is the thing that's really critical and what I want to convey to you guys here. So, my vision for the talk by the end of this 40 minutes hopefully, is for you guys to understand why you guys need to have a vision when you're leading your teams. I'm going to talk a little bit about how to become a visionary, and don't worry, you don't have to be Steve Jobs to be visionary, and then some tips on the implementation side. And it will be very practical things that you can apply. So let's get into why. The reason that you need vision is when what you want to build and accomplish is really far away or challenging, the only way to close the gap is by having a compelling vision that you believe in and your team believes in. Now you might ask, well, what if you just pay people a lot of money? Will they just work for you? What if you give people a title? Or what if you have a fun workplace with pool tables and the whole gamut? Well, all these things work in the short term, but people nowadays especially need to be motivated and passionate and believe in their vision if they want to continue to work at the company. I'm going to go over some of the greatest examples that I find of really clear vision. So Elon Musk actually has this on his website for the last 10 years. So 10 years ago, he wrote an article about what his vision is for Tesla. And now, 10 years later, it's almost accomplished, which is really interesting. And he talked about when they launched the model, the Roadster, which is their electric sports car. From looking at it from the outside, he said, look, yes, this might look like a failure, right? It wasn't the greatest car. The world doesn't need another premium sports car. But he said that the Roadster will give me funding to be able to build out the Model S, which will give me more funding to help build out the Model 3. And when people do switch to electric cars and do it in masses, then you can be a more sustainable planet. I have two of my classmates at Waterloo working at Tesla, and one of them, she posts pictures or on Snapchat, and it says, going into work at 5:30 a.m., right? And this happens a lot because it's Tesla in California, they have shift work. Now, she is capable of getting a job anywhere, right? She could probably get a job in another place that pays her the same. Yet, she goes into work early every day and spends 12 hours because Elon Musk has been able to convey his vision so well. And so, that's where I talk about, having a vision will really help you close that gap. Otherwise, people are not going to feel that there's a purpose and they might leave. Now, if you guys should definitely go and read this. Elon Musk, now that 10 years are over, he has his vision for the next 10 years, and it's crazy. Like, it is amazing. I suggest you guys to go on and read it online, but it describes a world that is very, very different. And because he achieved his first 10-year vision, you think that, okay, he's going to be able to do this one too. So the other company that I obviously really like is Apple. Apple, the team that developed the original iPhone described the experience as stressful and terrifying. When I worked in California, when I was working there, when people had to do a demo for Steve Jobs, it was like not fun at all. It is not fun fun place to be. But people slug through and they get through because they so believe in Steve Jobs' vision of where the product is going to go, and they were able to launch it. And if you read stories about how the original iPhone was launched, they said it might have never come out, but it did launch. And the last example of a company that I really like is local Wealthsimple. And I know that, and I think they really believe in their vision. And I know someone who's an SVP of investments at Brookfield Management, which is one of the largest investment funds. And he's considering investing in Wealthsimple, like putting his money in Wealthsimple. Not because of the robo-investing part, but at the end of the year, they do things like tax loss harvesting, which is only available to the rich people right now. You basically sell stocks that are losing money and buy more just so your taxes are minimized. This type of thing was only available to the wealthy, and now Wealthsimple is really behind their mission that they should have financial services that are easy to use for everyone. And they took out a Super Bowl ad, right? And you guys work at Wealthsimple, or you guys are very excited about that? Oh, okay, cool. I like them a lot. So, well, what you might be asking, why should I care? I'm not planning to start a company, right? I don't need to be Elon Musk. But if you are a team leader or if you are a new manager, and if you're running large, complex projects, if you're seeing that your team is burning out, or your team doesn't see the bigger picture, a clear vision can help. Now this next slide is so interesting. Millennials rank a vision higher than financial results. I don't care if the company is not making money, but if they believe in the vision and they see a purpose, that works for them, which can be a bit concerning because you actually have to make money. But sometimes you got to support yourself. But from a company standpoint, I thought that was really, really interesting. Now let's go into the how. So I hope that you were somewhat convinced as to why you need a vision. We'll talk about how. Really like this a lot. Henry Ford. If I had asked people what they wanted, they would have said a faster horse. Right? Okay. So let's recap. The definition of vision was the act or power of imagination, the mode of seeing or conceiving unusual foresight. Now, unusual foresight, how do you think you can get unusual foresight? Any ideas here?
Random meetings.
Sorry?
Random meetings.
Random meetings, okay.
Somebody on the street.
All right. Anyone else? Deep context in a certain area. So having really, when you experience things more in a certain area more than others, you live and breathe that area, you're going to see things that other people don't see. That, with your past experience, connecting the dots, helps you have a point of view, and that point of view is a vision. Now, this is interesting. So, you look at a lot of founders, they're solving their own problems, right? If you think about Dropbox, right? Drew Houston, he was driving from one place to another. He wanted to transfer a file. And he was traveling quite a bit, and he had a lot of context in that situation. It was a problem was very relevant to him, and so he made Dropbox. Facebook, you guys watched the movie of Facebook? He just wanted to date women, so he wanted to see everyone at Harvard, and this is a good library of how to do that. And there's other reasons too. And then the other one I like is a local example of FreshBooks. Mike was solving his own problem of invoicing. It's like when you have deep context in an area, you're able to have a point of view that might be contrary to what other people think. And so I'll use some of my own examples. When I joined Lookbook HQ, I had a vision for the team, and the vision was in 3 phases. I covered up what that actually is in case there's competitors here. Phase 1 was about doing the basics well, and I set a time limit on that, and I had key points on how we would get there. Phase 2 was establishing data-driven norms. and phase 3 was establishing culture of experimentation. And where did I get context for this? Well, it was my year of teaching at BrainStation in product management, and also seeing the growth from 80 million to 200 million and going from chaos to some order. Yeah, and literally, sharing this artifact was really helpful to motivate the team. The other example was at Loblaw Digital. We had this, so we were doing banner migration. That basically means taking over Loblaw's website, which is one of the most trafficked sites in Canada. And this project was very late and over budget. I joined there in November, and having launched a startup with one developer, I'm like, this is possible. Like, I have a team of 6 developers. I should be able to do this. So painted that picture, set a deadline, and was able to launch it. And example number 3 is off my startup. So where did I get the context from that? So it's a health app, and I've tried a lot of health apps. And I'll just go over what it is.
Start diet. Wednesday, cheat day. Friday, quit diet. No matter the diet, thousands of people fail every day. Why? They lose motivation. Plate app is the simplest and most effective solution that works with any meal strategy. Upload a snap of each meal you eat, let your scientifically selected peer group keep you accountable, and encourage you to eat healthier. Research shows that keeping a food journal results in twice as much weight loss because it brings awareness of what you're eating. With peer support, you'll be over 2.5 times more likely to stick to your diet. Using Plate app is as simple as 1, 2, 3. Log meals using one-click photo journaling. Rate your team members' meals in an anonymous, judgment-free manner using a guide we'll provide you. Check your progress to see which meals you need to improve. Calorie counting is hard, and having used other photo journaling apps, we've made the process of logging meals as simple as possible, so you'll actually do it.
So the reason I share that is that video, I hated that tagline. Anyways, that video was made for $250. So I showed this to other people that have startups, and they're like, well, we're going to spend thousands of dollars on it. I had a vision for this app, and I got a developer to work on it for free for equity. It was my classmate from mechatronics, and I got a whole team rally around it. I was able to launch it in the App Store, and it was all because I had a vision. Now, just because you have a vision doesn't mean that you'll be successful, and vision can actually be a little bit dangerous, and we'll go into that in the last part. You might be thinking, well, I'm not going to be a founder. How do I get the vision, right? Your founder might have the vision. How do you believe that vision? How do you understand it? And how do you communicate it to your teams? Well, you got to learn, right? You have to meet with your founders. You have to meet with your PMs. You have to listen to podcasts in your industry. You have to subscribe to industry news, because at the end of the day, as a team lead, your end goal is that you have to be able to understand your vision clear enough that you can communicate it to your team. And the key word here is convincingly, right? If you're not able to do it convincingly, they're gonna, it's not very motivating. And you might find that you can keep employees for a while, but if they're really not motivated and don't believe in what you're doing, it's not very helpful. So if you don't understand the vision, bug your PM, bug your founder, sit down with them and understand it. And that passion will show when you're talking to your teams. I mean, at the end of the day, vision really helps you close the gap when something is really long and really complex. Build, measure, learn, experimentation, that is great for iterations, right? But when it comes to making leaps that are very far, vision is what's going to help you get there. And with that, vision is great, it's fantastic, but it's also a little bit dangerous because it's a point of view. If you're very convincing, you can convince people to go down a route, ends up not being successful. It's okay as long as I feel if your intentions were good. And I'll share the example of Theranos. Anyone know about Theranos? Right. I think she was 21 when she dropped out of Stanford, started a company that would make blood tests a lot cheaper. The company was valued at $9 billion. And there was cracks in their vision. There was cracks in the product. One report by, I think, Wall Street Journal, and within, I think, a week, the valuation dropped from 9 billion to very close to nothing, right? It's just because, she was so convincing about Theranos's vision. If you actually go and YouTube Elizabeth Holmes, I mean, she has a really interesting personality. She really convinces you. And so do you see where, having some foresight and being very convincing is great, but it can also be, if your product doesn't work out, it can be dangerous. The other example is this one I wanted to share because this is as of September 1st. Anyone know about Juicero? This is crazy. So this was a $700 machine that they reduced the price to $400. And guess what it does? It magically squeezes juice. And you know what? The founder is he had such a compelling vision. He was so convincing. Guess how much he managed to raise? $120 million. And from who? Google Ventures, Kleiner Perkins, right? These are your elite investors, because and this is not your first time investors, right? And then ended up there was a Bloomberg report where they showed this $400 machine. If you just took the juice bag and you squeeze it with your hand, the results are exactly the same. The most dangerous thing is Kickstarter, because if you can fool investors like Google Ventures, Kleiner Perkins, imagine what you can do by fooling retail investors, right? Or us backing projects. So, just something to think about. I think that if your intentions are good and you have a good vision, it's fine, but it can be dangerous. It can be very, having a really good video of what you think the future is can convince people to put their own money into it. All right, so that was about, let's go into implementation. Really, implementation is very simple. Actually, it's not simple, but the underlying principle is very simple. You got to be a broken record about your vision. That's it. So, I think there are lots of books about how to implement vision, and all of them are great, but all they talk about are different artifacts of how to make sure that your vision is known by everyone. You've seen vision cards in people's badges. You see, I worked at Facebook for a month in their Toronto office. They had posters everywhere that talked about their vision, and it's really just being a broken record about it. And of course, I love Elon Musk, so I'll use this example. I ordered the Model 3. Anyone else ordered that? It's actually affordable. It's not crazy. But he also runs a space company, and that's profitable, called SpaceX. And as you walk into SpaceX office, it says that they want to live on Mars, like they want to cohabit on Mars. Now that is so far out, 2029. That is so far out, but all the work and people wear shirts like Occupy Mars. Elon Musk says, I would like to die on Mars, just not on impact. Right? This is so far out, 20 plus years out. Yet that's what they believe in. And their side business of launching spaceships into space that's profitable is just their means to get to Mars. That's really quite enlightening. So, the last thing I'll share is this is just one article about how to implement vision. I'm not going to go into detail because all of them are approximately the same. You have to create some artifacts and share them with the rest of your team. But there are a ton of books, and all of them have the same concept. So I really wanted you guys to understand the why and the how, and the implementation you can read. So anyways, that's it. You guys have any questions?